Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a campaign bus tour takes a cruise through Victoria. We'll take you to the event. Plus, voters turn out early in record numbers in Victoria County. We'll have the latest. And police are investigating how a toddler was able to shoot an infant inside a vehicle.
Few clouds over the crossroads. Otherwise, temperatures continue to be above normal. We'll talk about whether or not we can find any rain for you. We'll have that coming up in a moment.
Plus, a teen watches his football play months after a freak accident involving a wasp and a pool left him paralyzed. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A campaign bus tour took a cruise through Victoria to inspire Republican voters to get out to the polls. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting joins us now with more details on the story. Trenton.
Senator Cruz's Texas tour brought him close to home today in Victoria. The tour stopped at Lavaca Barbecue for a Get Out and Vote rally, headlined by the state senator. Texas District 18 Senator Lois Kolkhorst and Texas House candidate A.J. Louderback had their chance to speak as well, hoping to garner support and drive people to the polls. Cruz spoke of many topics in his platform, especially his views on inflation, healthcare, and immigration. Cruz remains confident in his chances of re-election.
1.5 million illegal immigrants come into this country under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It is the worst in history. It is a full-on invasion. When you go down to the border, you sit down with farmers and ranchers. They show you photograph after photograph.
Cruz is seeking his third 6-year term. His challenger, Colin Allred, is looking to make the move from the House of Representatives to the Senate. Shawna, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Trenton. Well, a record number of ballots were cast in Victoria County on the first day of early voting. 2,090 voters showed up in person on Monday. That's 3% of the county's registered voters. It broke the record of 1,720 people who showed up on day one of the 2020 November election. Total ballots cast on day one in Victoria County, which includes both in-person and mail-in ballots, 3,721, or 6.4% of registered voters. And this brings us to today's viewer poll. What local election are you going to the polls for? U.S. Representative District 27, State Senator District 30, Railroad Commissioner, or Victoria County Commissioner? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate, or you can simply scan the QR code there on your screen. And right now, 68, 69, 70, we're getting some people voting there. 70% of you say that the state senator race is the most important to you and getting you out to the polls. So again, continue voting, and we'll have the latest results on 25 News Now at 6. Well, Port Lavaca police say foul play is not involved in the death of a man over the weekend. Police say 54-year-old Alva Butch Stringham was found on the ground unresponsive Sunday morning in the 300 block of North Commerce Street. Stringham was taken to the hospital where he later passed away from injuries. First responders found a white Ford truck in a grassy area near where Stringham was found. Police are investigating and believe that Stringham was hit by his own vehicle after it was left in gear. Well, sunny, warm, probably need to pull out the sprinkler to water the yard. First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez joins us now with a first look at our forecast. Mac.
No doubt about it, Shawna. As a matter of fact, with these temperatures hovering near 90 degrees for the next 7 days, the Texas Forest Service is already putting out advisories letting people know that we're in very high fire danger. We'll be talking about that. We'll be taking a look at your temperatures. We'll be taking a look at the tropics, and we'll hopefully look for a cold front to come into the crossroads sometime soon. All that coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you, Shawna.
All right, like the sound of a cold front. Police in San Antonio are investigating the shooting death of an infant inside a car. Another toddler in the car apparently got a hold of a long gun that was unsecured inside the vehicle and pulled the trigger, firing a shot that killed the infant. An investigation into who owned the gun and how the child was able to gain access to it is under investigation. An adult woman was also in the car at the time of the incident. It's unknown if she or anyone else will face charges in the shooting. A teen in Frisco, Texas, watched his football team play this week, months after a freak accident involving a wasp and a pool that left him paralyzed. Marvin Hurst shows us how people are rallying behind him.
Terrified.
If you follow the chronology of Simeon Williams' summer, his journey to the stadium gate is heart-stopping and nerve-wracking. On the first day of summer, he and his friends were trying to dodge a wasp at a Frisco area swimming pool. SJ dove in and shattered his spine. Paralyzed from the neck down, he's been fighting in the hospital and rehab for more than 100 days. He got out earlier this month.
We're going to persevere through this, and with SJ's spirit and his disposition and demeanor,
nothing could keep his teammates at Cobb Middle School from running to his side Monday night.
I pray for his family.
They took a knee and prayed for him.
It feels really good because I really missed him for a long time, and it just sucks not having him around sometimes.
He's regained some of his upper body usage, but still has some challenges. That opposition now faces motivation from the might of the NFL.
Just keep your head high and just keep pressing on and just keep that will, the will to fight, the will to survive.
You would like to think, man, that, having somebody come rub your head and having people maybe you don't even know to say we're praying for you, it's strength for one more day.
On Thursday, SJ will get a new chin-operated wheelchair. And then,
so when he returns to school, which we're anticipating in the next couple of weeks, we've already had conversations with the district. They're excited about his return.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
He'll be closer to the energy of the team, cheering for his comeback. In Frisco, Marvin Hurst, CBS News, Texas.
All right, back here at home, 25 News Now is partnering with the Victoria Chamber of Commerce and the Victoria Advocate for a forum with the State Representative District 30 candidates. It will take place at UHV at 5:30 tomorrow. Shawna Akers, managing editor of the Victoria Advocate, helped to organize the event, and he is in the studio now with our Don Brubaker. And Don, I'm going to toss it over to you to learn more about it.
All right, Shawna, thank you. And Sean, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate
Tell us how this whole forum came about.
Well, we've actually done this in the past. I've only been here for 8 weeks or so, but we began organizing it just as I got here. And it's a thing where we want people to get out and vote, obviously, but this is a chance for people to see how their candidates, what their views are, and we've done a lot of research with the questions and everything. We're presenting about 6 or 7 questions to the candidates, and we're not going to reveal what those are because we want them to be impromptu, but we've done a lot of research with the questions, and we've actually put together some pretty good ones, I think.
How much do you think forums and debates and town halls make a difference in the election season?
I think it makes a big difference, a huge difference. The presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump obviously garnered a lot of attention, and sometimes in a negative way. But I believe that this will be a forum that will be civil and will be just a chance to allow the candidates to show what their views are for the important issues of the people in the crossroads.
What's the potential, in your opinion, for something big to come from this forum Wednesday night?
Well, I think that once we find out exactly what their views are, and I've met Stephanie Basham. I have not met AJ Louderbeck yet, but I've met Stephanie Basham, and I was very impressed with her views on education. And I believe that both of them have a passion for what's going on in the crossroads, and I think they'll bring that out in this debate.
Now, to be right, this is only for the State Representative District 30 race.
Yes.
Were other candidates from other races invited?
Not that to my knowledge. I mean, we wanted to focus on this particular race in general. The others, they have a strong candidacy going. I've talked to Tanya Lloyd. I've had a chance to talk to Michael Cloud, and believe me, I think that we would have loved to have had them on, but the schedules just didn't jibe.
How can people see this debate and hear this debate either in person or through social media, for example?
Well, they can go out to UHV tomorrow night. The forum starts actually at 6 o'clock, and we'd like for people to get there early and get a seat, and we're expecting a pretty good crowd. But they can also watch the debate on Facebook Live. Our Victoria Advocate Facebook page, and they can see it through that.
Thanks so much for coming by, and best of luck to tomorrow night on the debate.
Well, Don, we appreciate it, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with 25 News Now, because it's invaluable to us.
Yeah, same here. All right, Sean, thank you. And Shawna, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Don and Sean. Well, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell while you're there. Stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, how the presidential candidates are focusing their outreach to Latino voters with Election Day just 2 weeks away. Also ahead, the latest on the arrest of former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO, who is now facing federal sex trafficking charges.
Hi, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs with the Victoria Police Department. Victoria Crime Stoppers is seeking information concerning a murder. On October 19, 2024, Victoria County Sheriff's deputies responded to the 9800 block of Lower Mission Valley Road concerning a shooting. Upon arrival, deputies observed numerous vehicles leaving the location. The investigation revealed that a 20-year-old male victim was taken to a local hospital in a private vehicle. The male victim did not survive. If you have any information about this murder, please call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. You can also submit a tip by using the P3 Tip app on your Android or Apple device, or by visiting our website at www.crimestoppersvictoria.com. All tips are anonymous, and if you give information that leads to an arrest or charges being filed, you can earn a cash reward. With Victoria Crime Stoppers, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs.
Well, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are highlighting their economic policies in their outreach to Latino voters with Election Day just 2 weeks away. In an interview with Telemundo today, Vice President Harris intends to show off her plans to double the number of registered apprenticeships and stress how she would remove college degree requirements for certain federal government jobs. Meanwhile, former President Trump held a roundtable with Latinos in the Miami suburb of Doral today and criticized Harris for holding no public events, though her schedule included meetings and media interviews. In battleground Georgia, some poor people see no reason to vote, and that decision could sway the election. Sex parties with promises of modeling jobs, disturbing allegations against former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries. He and two other men appearing in federal court today facing criminal charges resulting from a sex trafficking investigation led by the FBI. Jeffries and his romantic partner are accused of running an international sex ring and prostitution business for years. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries arrested by federal authorities today, facing a judge on a slew of criminal charges. Prosecutors accusing him of running an international sex ring and prostitution business with his romantic partner Matt Smith and a third man, Jim Jacobson, from 2008 to 2015. All 3 men now behind bars.
Powerful individuals for too long have trafficked and abused for their own sexual pleasure young people with few resources and a dream.
Federal prosecutors saying the trio paid dozens of men to travel around the world to engage in sex acts. The indictment saying many of the victims were coerced and led to believe participating would mean modeling opportunities with Abercrombie, and that not complying could harm their careers. According to the indictment, Jeffries and Smith relied on their vast financial resources, Jeffries' power, and a network of employees to run the secret business that was dedicated to fulfilling their sexual desires. According to prosecutors, Jacobson was the middleman who recruited men from around the world to try out for sex events. Those tryouts allegedly required the candidates to first engage in sex acts with Jacobson. Jeffries, who was still running the company at the time until his departure in 2014, allegedly hired household staff to transport the men and supervise the sex events, directing them to wear costumes, use sex toys, and perform sex acts.
The defendants pressured the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants, and ensured that the men did not leave the sex events.
Several accusers filed a civil lawsuit a year ago. Brett Edwards represents some.
We are very happy that the wheels of justice are moving in the right direction.
Attorneys for Smith and Jeffries saying they will respond when appropriate. Abercrombie and Fitch and Jacobson's attorney declined to comment. 15 alleged victims are included in the indictment, but prosecutors and the FBI believe there are dozens more and have asked them to come forward. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The teenager accused in last month's fatal shooting at a Georgia school has pleaded not guilty. Colt Gray was indicted last week on 55 charges regarding the mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Winder. 4 people were killed, 9 others were hurt in the incident. The 14-year-old Gray will be tried as an adult. His father, Colin Gray, was also indicted on more than 24 counts, including second-degree murder and second-degree cruelty to children. Well, this is Teen Driver Safety Week. Inexperience behind the wheel can make new drivers more prone to car accidents, and motor vehicle crashes are a leading cause of death for U.S. teens ages 15 to 18. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has tips on how parents can help keep teen drivers safe.
On the road, there can be a lot of distractions, and that can be dangerous, even deadly. In 2022, more than 2,500 people were killed in crashes involving young drivers ages 15 to 18.
There are a lot of options for parents who want to keep their teen drivers safe.
Dr. Manisha Agarwal with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says teaching a teen to drive safely starts before they're even old enough to get a license. She says parents need to set an example for their child.
Don't text and drive. Always buckle your seatbelt. Make sure that when you're driving, you are paying attention to the road and you're not participating in risky activities like speeding or tailgating.
Once they're old enough to get behind the wheel, Agarwal says teens should practice as much as possible with parents next to them in the vehicle.
We also know that things like parent-teen driving contracts can make a huge difference in keeping teens safe.
That's a way for parents to set rules and expectations for a licensed teenage driver, including night driving restrictions, restricting passengers, prohibiting phones and devices while driving, and requiring seatbelt use at all times. And Agarwal says it's also important to abide state graduated driver licensing laws.
Follow that rule. We know that when teens drive late at night, when they're driving with more than one passenger, those are all things that increase their risk of getting in a crash.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it's also important for parents to talk to their children about the dangers of drug and alcohol use, reminding them that it's against the law to drink under the age of 21 and it's illegal and deadly to be under the influence while driving. A new ad from State Representative Caroline Harris Davila about protecting kids and improving school lunches ends with Harris Davila and her husband posing with 4 children. But those are not the Davila's kids. Read the full Texas Tribune article by going to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. 86 degrees out about there. Not exactly feeling like October, and it's not going to feel like October for a while. We were up to 89 again today, which is what we did yesterday, with our average temperature getting down to the low 80s. But the real big concern is now the fact that we've gone 30 days without any rain. not only here, but pretty much the entire state. We'll talk more about that and take a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Lots of sunshine, lots of warm temperatures, getting up to almost 90 degrees. As you can see on our big picture, you can see a little bit of cloud cover coming up from the south. It's actually coming in from the Pacific, another tropical storm down there. We'll get to that in a moment, but that's pretty much all we have going. There is a frontal system in North Texas. It's really kind of a boundary line between humidities. There's more humidity on this side than on that side because the wind's coming around this low. Of course, they had a few thunderstorms in the Panhandle yesterday. Today, nothing. The frontal system continues to fall apart and rolls up into the Midwest, and then we have another little one here. But the reason I'm looking at the Northwest is because that's where our big Pacific storms are going to be coming from for the next 4 or 5 months. One of those big ones comes over, it runs into Gulf moisture, and we get some rain. But in the short term, it doesn't look very good. Now, the Forest Service out at College Station has told us that as of today, we are now at level 3. Okay, so we're at level 3 in terms of wildland fire preparedness levels. In other words, we got to be ready because if anything breaks out with the conditions that we have, not only here, but all over the state, they have already positioned crews in different parts of the state to be closer to the action in case anything takes off. So you and I have to do the best we can to make sure that no wildfires take off anywhere around our area, because then everything would dry up and burn away, and we certainly don't want that. Southeast winds are going to be picking up in the next couple of days as storm after storm comes out of the Rockies and goes across the plains. So that is an additional problem. When the dome of high pressure was on top of us, remember we had no wind at all? Well, now the dome is moving, the fronts are moving, and the lows are moving across, and that's going to cause a stronger sea breeze. And of course, the strong wind is also a factor that plays into the fire danger. So all of those things considered, they put out, we're all on level 3 to be cautious throughout the entire state. The big dome of high pressure finally moved offshore. It's out in the Atlantic now. And the real funny part is what happened to the storm. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Tomorrow's high temperatures, 90 degrees, no real rain in sight through the next 5 days. We're going to be very warm. Now, this is the remnants of Oscar, and this is Christie, but Christie's out in the Atlantic or Pacific, and we don't have to worry about that storm. We'll take a look at it because Christie is going to be a big storm. Fortunately for the west coast of Mexico, that is forecast to continue going westward, and once it gets out in the mid-Pacific, then it'll fall apart. This is the sharp turn that Omar took before it fell apart and ran into the big dome. And then all of a sudden, it was no more. So we're looking for an 85 tomorrow in Port Lavaca, looking for about a 90 in Cuero. So yes, it doesn't feel much like October, and we're going to be on the dry side for the next 7 days. Tomorrow morning, probably some morning fog as well as on Thursday. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads a day on your phone. Here's Shawna.
All right, thanks a lot, Mac. Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at stocks. Plus, while Americans reconsider new vehicle purchases, General Motors is reporting record earnings. Taking a look at stocks today, the Dow Jones closed down 7 points, the S&P 500 down 3 points, the Nasdaq up 33 points, and oil closed up $1.68 to $72.24 a barrel. Well, an affordability shift is taking root in the U.S. auto industry. The trend is being led by people who feel that they can no longer afford a new vehicle that would cost them roughly today's average selling price of about $47,000, a jump of more than 20% from the pre-pandemic average. Yet there are other buyers who could manage the financial burden but have decided it just isn't worth the cost. And that trend is forcing automakers to reassess their sales and production strategies. Meanwhile, General Motors is on track for record earnings in 2024. The automaker reported stronger than expected third quarter earnings with $3.4 billion in profit. Revenue rose more than 10% to nearly $49 billion. That's way more than forecasters had projected. Considering that the costly United Auto Workers Union strike was on last year. GM has raised its earnings outlook for the rest of the year. Target is slashing prices on thousands of items ahead of the holiday shopping season. The retailer will cut prices on more than 2,000 home goods, beauty products, toys, and food and beverage items. Some prices have already dropped, and the discounting will continue through December. This is the second time this year that Target has cut prices in an attempt to lure in inflation-wary shoppers. The discounts have helped to boost customer spending after a string of dreadful quarters for the company. Well, stay with us when we come back. How do you feel about green beans, cranberries, and gravy on your pizza? Yeah, one pizza maker is bringing back its Thanksgiving version. And here's a look at what's coming up next on World News Tonight.
14 days to go, and more Americans turn to David Muir and World News Tonight than any other newscast. The race, a dead heat. With so much at stake, turn to David Muir on election night and ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, the #1 newscast in America.
A pizza maker is bringing back its Thanksgiving pizza, which the company calls a fan favorite. I don't know about this one. The frozen pizza includes many of the trappings of Thanksgiving and pizza, all in each slice. This includes roasted turkey, gravy, green beans, cranberries, the crispy onions, some mozzarella, cheddar cheese, Detroit-style crust. Does not have the diced sweet potatoes, which they had on last year's version. They decided to leave that off this year, but last year, the pies sold out. So if it sounds good to you, then you may want to try to see if you can find one at the store.
I guess if you're at home by yourself, it's like all the comforts of home.
I guess
there,
so. I mean,
a pizza.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe just at least have to try it. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 6.